Good morning, Terry Michael, the Bible lady here. And with Easter season coming up, I have something wonderful to share with you. But first, I wanted to share with you something that I saw this morning in the Bible. And it's wonderful too. It is. But it's new. This is new. I was reading in Luke, and it was Luke 2:41. And it said, "Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of Passover." Well, you can read about the Passover in Exodus 12 and Leviticus 23, but this is in Luke 2:41, and it is talking about Mary and Joseph went every year with Jesus to the Passover. Well, what's so big about that? Well, what is big about it is I didn't realize that Jesus was so formed in the custom of going to Jerusalem. I knew that he went to the feasts when he was in ministry, but this was every year. And then at that time, when in this passage in Luke 2, it also talks about how he stayed behind and he was 12 years old. You want to read about that. That's really neat. But this brings us to this upcoming Easter. That's what I'm talking about, Jerusalem and the Last Supper. Now, most of us have seen Leonardo da Vinci's famous painting, The Last Supper. And what did he capture, though, when he raised his brush? When he raised his brush to the wall, what did he capture? Because it looks as if they were having an intense conversation. And I want to take you back to that. I want to take you back to when the disciples, first of all, they were on their way to Jerusalem another time before the Passover festival. And Salome, the mother of James and John, Zebedee's children, had approached Jesus, and she said, "Command that in your kingdom that these two sons of mine might sit on your right hand, one on your right and one on your left." That's what she said. And then the others heatedly resented her request. Do you think that was what they were arguing about? Well, it was part of a lesson that Jesus would teach. They had the knitted group had ministered alongside with him for the past 3 years. And when at the Last Supper, this is part of it. I don't want to go through all of it because there's quite a few scriptures, and it's quite long. Even though you have the power of that pause button, I know it's pretty long. So let me see what my scriptures say here. Okay, this is part of it. They were eating, and Jesus said, "Truly I say to you that one of you will betray me." That was in Mark 14:18. And remember that Matthew, Mark, and Luke are the synoptic gospels. And to read fully what was said and done at the Last Supper, you have to read all three of them. So, and that's kind of what I did. But I took it apart, pasted it back together. Okay. And then in Luke, he said that he had earnestly desired, and I'm skipping through. Okay. Earnestly desired to eat the Passover with them before he suffered. And he said that he would never eat it again until it was fulfilled in the kingdom of God. And he took the cup and he gave thanks. And as we know, he took the cup and he gave thanks, and he drank the fruit of the vine. He had the bread and he gave thanks. So then we're going to skip forward to, there was a dispute. It says, this is in Luke 22, Luke 22, verse 24. There arose also a dispute among them as to which one of them was regarded to be the greatest. And when I read that, I thought, holy mackerel, my gosh, really? Here he's telling them he's leaving for the last time. And they're discussing who's the greatest. But they had talked about it on the way to Jerusalem. So that isn't the first time it's come up. And he said in verse 25, he said to them, "The kings of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those who have authority over them are called benefactors. But it's not this way with you, but the one who is greatest among you must become like the youngest, and the leader like the servant. And he showed them when he took his towel off and he went and he washed his feet, their feet. He showed them what it was like to be the greatest and serving as the least. Okay. So he washes the disciples' feet. And we are going to skip forward to some other verses here on down, because several times I have to tell you, Jesus told them over and over that he was going to be betrayed. He was going to be betrayed. He was going to be betrayed. And finally they said, who is it? And then he showed them it was Judas. And then further on down, he says this. This is what I think was just amazing at the Last Supper also. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, even as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this all men will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. I think the story, the understanding of the Last Supper has so much to offer. As I said there, it goes on. I don't have the time with this. It would probably take much longer to go through all the scriptures, but it is a beautiful, wonderful story and account, not just a story. It's an account of what happened. So as we look forward to Passover and Easter, I think that he settled the argument. Jesus settled the argument about who's the greatest by arising, tucking a towel around his waist, and kneeling before them. He gently held their feet in his hands and washed the dirt from their day's journey. As an example, he gave us the greatest example that we should do as he did. I hope that this Passover and Easter season will be the most blessed for you, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.